Welcome to the Martial Arts Incorporated Yellow Belt Syllabus DVD. Today we're going to cover the 4 sets, which are the 4 requirements for the very first grade, which is the Yellow Belt. The Yellow Belt many people find very daunting simply because it is the first grade, but with practice it will become automatic and it won't be as nerve-wracking as it first might appear. The Yellow Belt contains all the fundamentals that you need to know in order to be a good kickboxer. And with those requirements, many world championships have been won with simply the Yellow Belt requirements. But the Yellow Belt adds up to all your other belts and it is a good foundation and a great start. So the 4 sets that are required for this grade are the punching set, the kicking set, the block set and the footwork set. We're going to cover all the techniques involved and show you how the sets should be performed for a grade. So hopefully on the day you won't be as nervous as you might be right now. So let's get started. Okay, the very first set we're going to do is called the punch set, or the punching set. This is the first requirement for the Yellow Belt. But before we start, hands are up in the air, fingers together, make a half fist, then a full fist, locking the skin underneath your fingers, and your thumbs must go over your first 2 knuckles. Not your first one, the first 2, to make sure that your hands are good and tight. You're punching with the 2 main knuckles here in your hand, which are the 2 large knuckles, the largest ones in your hand, when you make contact with your opponent. So tight. You can't have your thumbs underneath or pointing upwards. Good tight fist before we even start, so you don't injure your hands or your wrists when you're punching. Next, put your left leg in front. We're going to demonstrate the left side first and then the right side, because that's the way you'll be asked on the grade. Make sure it's a comfortable stance. This is called a left neutral fighting stance. And it's called a left neutral stance because the weight is evenly distributed. 50% in your left leg, 50% in your right leg. And it's a left neutral stance because you're facing your left side and your left leg's in front. If you're the opposite, it would be right neutral stance. So, elbows in close to your sides, pick your hands up. Your front hand, which should be your left hand, is in front of your face, like the sight in a gun, and your right hand is on the right side of your chin. The very first punch we're going to do is a jab. With your left hand, come straight out in front, twist, and straight back. And again, straight out in front, twisting, making sure you're making connection with your 2 big knuckles, and along the same path to return back to your chin. Because you can be guaranteed as soon as you go to hit somebody, and if you successfully hit them or not, they're going to try to hit you back in return. So make sure after you throw your jab, wham, it comes straight back to your chin. Right hand is always locked into the side of your face, no matter what punch you're throwing. If it's the right hand, your left hand is locked in tight. Make sure as well with your jab, in order to get power, you need to use your body weight. You need to lean slightly forward. If you just throw your arm out, it's just your arm. You want to make sure that you're hitting with your entire body, all your body weight. So left hand straight out in front, twist, and straight back. The jab is a range punch. It finds your range for your heavy hand, which is your backhand, whether it's a hook or an uppercut or a cross, which we're going to go into in a second. But your jab gets your range, so it tells how far away your opponent is. And most fights are won simply by using a jab and wearing down your opponent, even though it's not the strongest of all the punches. You've heard the expression, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. This is the sting like a bee punch. It keeps wearing away, it keeps chopping down the tree, wearing down your opponent, and the backhand then, whether you're right or left-handed, your opposite hand is the one that does the damage. So that's the jab. The next punch we're going to do is called the cross. Again, keep your hands good and tight. This is very similar to the jab. Your right hand comes straight out in front, twisting your hips, your shoulder and your back leg, and twists on impact. Again, opposite hand is very tight into your face, making sure you have a good tight guard. And straight back along the same line, back to your chin. So again, rotate, right hand goes out in front, twists, hits its target, and back along the same path. You don't want to cross and back down to your hip and back. That's a common mistake made in the very first grade. Hands straight here and straight back, so you're always protected. Try not to come out and hit straight in. Keep your elbow in tight. That way all your power is focused from A to B in a straight line. Wham, straight in front and back. Now you might have noticed when I was throwing those punches, I was breathing out as well, which is something that will be looked for when you're doing your grade. You cannot hold your breath and turn purple and faint. You need to breathe out, and then bring your hand straight back in. So that's the cross, that's the second punch that you're going to be asked for in the punching set. The next punch we're going to do is called the hook punch. Now this is a little bit harder than the jab and cross, because the jab and cross are in a straight line. The hook comes in a circle, and it's also harder because you're using your front hand, and generally most people who fight with their left leg in front are right-handed, so their front hand is generally your weaker hand, so it's got less space to travel as well. But we got to do it. So with your left hand, it comes slightly out to the side, hook it in by picking up your elbow, twisting on your front foot, and going slightly past your target. With a hook, you do not want to overextend that far past your target, because if you hit, as you can see, if you miss, your ribs and the side of your face is open. So you can only go, if 12 o'clock is right dead center in front of me, you go to about 1:30, no further than the corner. And straight back, so it doesn't go hook, down and back again, which is a very common mistake made in the very first grade. So hand comes out to the side, hook, and back. Now even though I'm saying demonstrate by bringing your hand out the side and in, when you actually throw the punch, it will just come around and back. So you mightn't necessarily see it coming to the side, and it's got to be one fluid motion. So hands in front, hook and back. It's very important to use your footwork, because this is what generates your power. Boxers and kickboxers who are good at throwing hooks generally have nicknames like Hurricane, because the Hurricane is a fast spinning motion, and so is the hook punch. And it's generally a hook punch to knock somebody out is generally a close range strike. It's not a big long extended hook. It's generally close range, so it's all body and every muscle in your body, your legs and your arms and your back and your abs, everything connected into the punch. So when you hit, they say when you hit with a good punch, you feel it all the way through your arm, all the way rooted through your body, through your leg and into the earth. You feel like you're fused with the ground when you throw, and you connect with a good punch, as opposed to just an arm hitting. And that's the greatest thing about punching. If you use your body weight, it's a great evener. It doesn't matter whether you're 50 stone or whether you're 5 or 6 stone. Once you use your body weight, you're going to connect hard. So left hand again, out, hook in one motion, and keep this hand tight. Most people are knocked out in boxing or kickboxing from dropping this hand, throwing a hook and getting a smack in the face. So you need to keep this hand good and tight. So that's the hook off the front hand. Next is the hook with the backhand, the right hand. This should be a little bit easier because you have a lot further momentum to swing, and also it's your right hand. So most people are right-handed, so it's generally your easier hand. With your right hand, again, it comes slightly out to the side, twist on your back foot, turn, pick your elbow up, and strike towards the target. So it's a very concentrated circle. It's not a big wide circle where you risk missing somebody and getting hit in the face or hit in the ribs. If you hit them, great, but if you miss, you're in a lot of trouble. So it comes around, hook, very focused, and straight back to guard. So your hand comes here and straight back to your chin, where it started, the point of origin. Right hand comes out, lean, turn, pivot, hit, 2 big knuckles again, and back to chin. Again, don't overextend. Try to go to 10:30, which is the corner. 12 o'clock's in front of me, just roughly to the corner. Strike and back. Okay, so that's the hook punch. This is the uppercut. With your left hand, in the order of the set, we'll throw the left before we'll throw the right. Again, keep your hands in tight, drop your left hand slightly, drop your body slightly. U-shape around to the center, bring your body up and bring your hand up. So you're making like a U-shape with your hand and also with your body. So drop down slightly, hands are still tight, I'm not dropping my hands. Circle around, drop your hand and straight up. Make sure again, you don't want to overextend and go straight up in the air, because if you do miss somebody's chin or someone's solar plexus, which is where this one's aimed, you're going to get hit in your own ribs or your face. So hands tight, circle to the left, drop underneath. Circle, drop underneath. And it goes in one fluid motion. When you practice this often enough, it becomes subconscious. So that's the left uppercut. This is the right hand uppercut punch. With your right hand, bring it out slightly to the side, drop your body, circle, underneath. This is aimed at somebody's chin underneath because it's hard to see, or into the solar plexus. If it's into the solar plexus, it's thrust forward. But I don't want you worrying about that one too much, because for the grade, the one that you'll be required is the one that's straight up underneath the chin, the knockout strike. So right hand slightly out to the side, drop your body weight, circle, and underneath. You shouldn't just throw your arm with an uppercut, or with any punch for that matter. You should make sure you're always using your body weight. It's body weight. Everything is body weight because, as I said, that is the greatest evener of the lot. It doesn't matter if you're heavier, if you've got lots of muscles. Once you know how to use your body weight, you can land very, very heavy punches. So hands are tight, to the side, lean, around, uppercut. So that's the 6 punches we've covered. We've covered the jab, we've covered the cross, we've covered the front hand left hook, front hand right hook, front hand left uppercut, front hand right uppercut. So we're going to go through the whole lot of those again. I'm going to walk through them slowly first, and then I'll do them a little bit faster. So hands up good and tight, jab, front hand, cross, backhand. And notice after your jab, when you're doing this as a set, you don't go jab back to guard, cross back to guard. It's jab, cross, straight into the left hook, straight into the right hook, and the opposite hand is always returning to base. Left uppercut, right uppercut. Then when you've completed the first side, you switch stance. Now when you're going to switch stance, you got to switch stance pretty quick. So you put this foot where the right foot is, and the right foot where the left foot is. So you switch nice and fast. You don't want to be caught and struck while you're switching. So then the opposite side, this time it's the opposite hand. Jab, cross, right hook, left hook, right uppercut, left uppercut, back to guard. Now it might seem confusing, so we're going to do the whole lot again. Starting off, left leg is in front, hands are tight. Very first punch we're going to do, left jab, right cross, straight in, left hook coming around in a circle, right hook, left uppercut, right uppercut. Settle, switch stance, right jab, left cross, right hook, right uppercut, left uppercut, and back to your guard. At the end of all the sets, or any techniques or anything that you do in the grade, you don't just want to drop your hands. You always want to have your hands up, because when you're fighting, whether you pull off a combination or not, if you drop your hands, you're going to get hit. So last time we're going to do it. Left leg's in front, jab, cross, left hook, right hook, left uppercut, right uppercut. Settle, switch, jab, cross, right hook, right uppercut, left uppercut, and settle. And that's the very first requirement for the yellow belt. That is called the punching set. do is called the kick set or the kicking set. So again, starting off, left leg's in front, left neutral fighting stance, hands are up exactly the same as in the punch set. The very first kick that we're going to do is called the front kick. So we're going to start off with our back leg, which is our right leg. Turn your front foot, which is your left, lean back slightly. When you pick up your right leg, bring your knee towards your chest, extend with the ball of your foot, bring your knee back to the fold exactly the same as it was, and straight back behind you. It's a lot easier when you're doing this quicker. But again, twist your front foot, knee up, extend the ball of your foot, make sure you lean back. This front kick gets all its power from your hips. So lean back, push the ball of your foot, push your hips forward, knee back to there, and back down again. So it's always returning exactly along the same path as the way it came forward. So twist your front foot, front kick, and back. Hands are still up, twist your front kick, and back. And again. Making sure you exhale on all of the strikes. It's very important during a grade. Thumbs are in, hands are tight. Now you're hitting with the ball of your foot, which is the bottom part, right there, the bottom part of your foot, and you extend it to the front. The targets for self-defense situation can be anywhere, knees, groin, shins, and for kickboxing rules, above the waist. So stomach, ribs, face. The great thing about the front kick is it's a good hard kick. Even if you block it, you're still going to feel it and you're still going to get knocked and pushed. So, last time, hands in. Okay. The next kick we're going to do is exactly the same kick off the front leg. So it's called the front kick off the front leg. So hands are tight. This time there's no movement except for a slight lean back. Bring your front foot back to transition your weight to your back leg. Bring your knee towards your opponent, bending it. Snap out your front kick and bring it back down. So bring your leg in, bring your knee up, extend it out, bring it back in, place it down. So you're controlling your leg all the time, extending it and back down. So bring it back, push your knee towards your opponent, kicking and back. You've got to always bring it back towards the fold because that gives you control over your legs. If you extend it and you don't bring it towards the fold, you land anywhere. It's not really your decision as to where you land, and then you're susceptible to be swept or thrown or grabbed, and you're off balance. You have to remember with kicking, every time you kick, you're off balance. So you want to minimize your off balance as much as possible. So hands are tight, bring your front foot back, kick, and back down. The next kick we're going to do is called the roundhouse kick, or the round kick for short. This time you're striking with the instep shin part of your leg. So it has quite a range. It can be from the bottom, just above your toes, to your shin. And it comes in a round, sweeping, chopping motion, like a baseball bat being swung around. The targets for the roundhouse kick could be the abdomen, the ribs, the side of the head. Again, it's a good solid kick. Even if you block the roundhouse kick, you're still going to feel it. It's still a heavy impact kick. In fact, 3 kicks on this set are all heavy impact kicks. Very first thing you need to do, get your stance, left leg's in front, hands are tight. Twist your front foot, twist your shoulders. Start to lean away, raise your right leg, bring up your knee, extend out your roundhouse and follow around. There's a few different types of roundhouse kick. The reason why we teach this one first is because it's the most powerful. So, twist your front foot, twist your shoulders. Bring up your knee as you lean away, extend your foot and bring your leg around. You need to point your foot and point your toes away from the target so that you don't break. You don't want to keep your toes the way you would with the front kick or the side kick. Extend your foot, exposing your shin and your instep. So, twist your front foot, twist your shoulders, lean away, bring up your knee, extend the kick and back around. Make sure you do what's called spot focus, which means if you're looking in front, when you twist, when you lean away, when you throw the kick, your head immediately comes to that same target again. You don't sweep in the whole room with your eyes because that's what makes you dizzy. So hands are tight, twist your front foot, twist your hips and shoulders, lean away, bring up your knee, roundhouse kick, all the way around and back. And again, twist, twist, lean, roundhouse kick and back. For the yellow belt, this roundhouse kick only has to be demonstrated to the body, so you don't have to kick too high by going to the head. So hands are tight, twist, twist, lean away, roundhouse kick and back. So that's the roundhouse kick. Now the next kick we're going to do is a roundhouse kick off the front leg. You'll notice with the kick set, first you demonstrate off the back leg, then you demonstrate off the front leg. So it's easy enough to remember. With this kick, you need to close the gap between yourself and the opponent. So you drag up with your back foot, making sure that your back foot is turned slightly away, because this will automatically transfer the balance to your right leg. So you can kick with your left leg without it being too noticeable to your opponent. So drag it up, turn your right foot away, lean towards the bend that leg, start to bend your front leg as you pick it up, snap out the roundhouse kick. Feet together and back out again. So you're closing the gap, you're coming towards your opponent, feet are together, right foot's pointing slightly away, lean, roundhouse kick, foot and back. Now the roundhouse kick is your knee comes up and it's like a door opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. And when you bring your foot back, you slide back again. So you drag up, lean, pick up your knee, snap out the kick, feet together and back. Again, for the yellow belt, this kick only has to be above waist or above belt height. So drag up, lean away, roundhouse and drag back. Drag up, lean away, roundhouse, feet together and drag back. When this is performed fast, it can be just like you're skipping forward. So that's the front leg roundhouse kick. The next kick we're going to do is the back leg side kick, which is with your right leg. So left leg's in front, hands are tight, twist as if you're going to do the roundhouse, twist your front foot, twist your right shoulder. So you're in what's called a twist stance. So again, twist, lean away, bring your knee in towards your body because you're going to push it out. It's more like a piston as opposed to a roundhouse kick. It's like a door opening and closing. And a side kick is like a piston. It comes in, out, side kick. So twist your front foot, twist your shoulder, lean away, bring your knee, extend it, bring it back and place it back. This is hard for leg control, a lot harder than some of the other kicks because you got to push your foot out and then bring it straight back along the same path. So twist, twist your shoulder. The more you lean, it's a seesaw effect. The more you lean, the easier it is to kick up. You can't stay upright and throw side kick. You have to lean. So twist, turn the shoulders, lean away, side kick, and back. This time you're hitting with the heel of your foot. Your heels and elbows are the strongest bones in your body. So when you hit with this heel, hopefully you will cause some devastation and destruction. Even if your opponent blocks, it will move them out of the way and hopefully still knocks the wind out of them. So twist, lean away, bring in your knee, extend the side kick, and back. Pushing forward, and back. Now the last kick that's involved in kick set 1 is the front leg side kick. Exactly the same as the other side kick that we've done, except it's off the front leg. This time it's similar to the front leg roundhouse kick. Drag your back leg, twisting it away from your opponent, leaning away, bring up your leg. Similar to the roundhouse, except you're bringing your left leg towards your body, not up to the side of your body, towards your body, because you need to kick out, back, and slide back. So the footwork is still exactly the same. Drag up, right foot's turning slightly away, lean, knee towards your body, side kick, foot back and back out again. Drag up, lean away, knee, side, back, feet together, back. Seems complicated, slow, it's easier with a little bit of rhythm. So just drag up, kick and back. Drag up, kick and back. drag up, kick, and back. One more time, slow, drag up, all your weight's on your right foot, lean, knee up, kick, feet back, drag back. The next set on the yellow belt syllabus is the block set. So we're going to start off again, left leg in front. All these sets start off left neutral fighting stance. Hands are up, exactly the same guard as in the punch set and exactly the same guard as in the kick set. Hands are tight. Now the very first block we're going to do is against someone throwing hook punches at each side of your head. So keep your hands in tight, lift up your shoulders, hands up tight, in against your head, and keep your forearms as close to your shoulders as possible, hunching yourself up so that you can take the blocks hopefully on your shoulders and your arms and less on your head. Bring your hands tight to your head. If they're from your head when you get hit, you can end up knocking yourself out. So keep it tight to the front and back. So guard is up, hands are up, tight to the front and back. The good thing about this set, this is called the covering block set, all the blocks are natural blocks or reactions. You'd probably block your head or cover your head in a similar fashion if someone was throwing strikes and you weren't trained. So hands come up, hands against the head, elbows and shoulders in tight and up high. That's the block for the sides of the head. Again, against hook punches coming at the side. The next block that we're going to do is block to the front of the head. So after the sides, it comes to the front. You have to make sure that, even though you mightn't be able to see it, but one eye, at least one eye, I can still see a little bit outside my arms. I don't intend on holding this block for long, so you don't have to be fully visible. If you are, then your opponent can punch you straight in the nose. So hands in tight, shoulders up. You can see out with one eye, that's sufficient. Tight and back down to your guard. So you block and back down. Again, make sure your hands are touching your head. If they're not touching your head, you risk getting hit upon impact of the punch or the kick. Again, this could be against a front kick. More than likely it'll be against a jab or a cross. Tight and back down. A lot of people try to retain their full height when they're doing blocks, but the only thing is, as soon as you retain your full height and you block, you leave your stomach open. So stay kind of hunched like a spring, ready to spring out, because as soon as you block, hopefully you're going to be able to return with a strike or a combination. So in and back to your guard. So the very first one, sides of the head, straight away, front. So that's cover the front of your head or the front of your face. Next one we're going to do, speaking of getting hit in the stomach, is the body block or the stomach block. So after the front, drop your elbows straight down. Don't put your chin on your hands as a lot of people do. Keep your chin and your head in behind your hands. In fact, you can tuck your head into your hands as well if you want. But again, you don't want to be staying in that position for long because it opens up more strikes for your opponent. So you're only going to stay in this for a split second, enough to block the strikes that you need to block before you're going to return with a strike yourself. So the sides of the head, front of the head. Next one, stomach. Crunch down, tense up your stomach, bring your elbows into your body so it's blocking strikes. More than likely uppercuts are front kicks, which you've already covered so far. So stomach and tight. If you tense up your biceps, these arms will barely move. You don't want to hit your face, so be conscious of that. Whether you keep your biceps tensed or whether you lock your head into your hands as well, you can do it that way also. So that covers the stomach. The next one we're going to do is someone coming in with hook punches or roundhouse kicks, which are from the side attacks. So when your opponent's standing in front of you, they're swinging circular attacks into your body, these are the blocks that you use. Again, hands are tight. All you simply do is bring your elbows to each to the side and keep your hands and your fists kind of high as well. Some people drop their hands down completely, which doesn't give you a guard, and it means that once your opponent has hit you in the body, they're just going to return to your face with a punch or with a kick. So you want to make sure your hands are always in a position that you can immediately go into another block. So keep your hands tight from your guard. Bring your elbows to the sides. All you want to do is make sure that these cover both your sides, and if someone was going near your ribs, you can bring your elbows slightly back. But your hands are still relatively high, and again, you're not going to retain your full height. You're going to hunch slightly so that you're able to do the next block or go straight into the sides of the head or the front of the head block or back to the stomach block and back to your ribs. So that covers the side of your ribs. It's like you're going to elbow yourself in the ribs with both hands. So tight, rib block, back to guard. Rib block, back to guard. Rib block, back to guard. So the very first one we're going to do, side of the head, front of the head, stomach, ribs. Now the next one is against what's called a haymaker punch. A haymaker punch is basically someone winding up and swinging as hard a hook punch or a lunging punch or a big arm swinging punch as they possibly can. Now the first block blocks hook punches, but it wouldn't block a follow through roundhouse kick, or it wouldn't block, as we call it, a haymaker, a big solid, as hard as you can hook punch. So you need a slightly harder block for this. So as if you're going to do an elbow, you bring your front arm. If they're throwing a right hand punch, you bring your front arm up, like you're bringing your elbow up or like you're brushing your hair. Bring it up and keep it tight in against the side of your head. So what's protecting your head is your forearm and your bicep, both well padded parts of your arm. So keep it tight, keep your opposite hand up. When the strike or the roundhouse kick or the hook punch comes, lean slightly into it, just slightly, just to nullify and take the impact a little bit away, as opposed to leaning away from it. Because if you do lean away, you're going to get more force. So there's your guard, hand comes up, lean slightly, back to your guard. Hand up, lean slightly, back to your guard. So it's a fairly short, all of these are fairly short movements if you do them right. They shouldn't be large movements, because every time you block one body part, another body part is left open. Hand comes straight up, block, lean slightly in and back down. And what they can do on one side, they can do on the opposite side. So the next block we're going to do is the same thing with the right hand, right haymaker block. Right hand comes up again like you're brushing your hair, up to the side of your face. You might have to pivot your back foot to get into position. Keep it tight, head against your forearm and your bicep. Opposite hand is tight, lean slightly into the kick. Now you have to be ready if that hand is up in case the kick is switched to your ribs, so that you can go straight into the body block with one arm. So you need to always be ready to go from one block into another. So straight up, tight and back. Tight and back. Next block is a little bit harder, but it's very applicable for kicks because it sets you up for throws, for grabs, for sweeps and for takedowns. This one is called the universal block, and it's called the universal block because it blocks from groin height all the way up to your head if you're not sure what height the kick is going to be. And it's against generally roundhouse kicks more than most other strikes, because roundhouse kicks come in from the side and you don't always know whether it's going to be low or high roundhouse kick. With your right hand, you drop your right hand down like a pendulum and you bring your left hand across. Both of these need to go simultaneously at the same time. So from your guard, right hand drops down, left hand comes across. So it is like a shield. If you find this awkward, as most people do, relax your shoulders, twist your body into it. You don't have to just try to twist away, try to twist into the strike. From here, it's easy to grab a leg and to throw and to sweep, as I said earlier on. But we won't worry about that yet because that's the next belt. So hands are tight. Drop your right hand down, bring your left hand across, like a shield. So if the kick is down there, hopefully I have it blocked. If it's in the center, I definitely do, because both my elbows there, and if it's high, I should have it blocked as well. If it was a particularly hard kick, you can have your head against your hand as well. For the grade, just keep it out away from your body. You want to make sure that the foot, even if it goes past your hand, still cannot reach your face. Most people in the grade keep these very close, which means the kick can still get them in the body and the kick can still get them in the face. Away from your body, away. Push it away and back to your guard. So universal block, back to your guard. Universal block, back. Universal block, back. Then the opposite side. This time, exactly the same, the opposite hands. Left arm drops down, right hand comes across. And again, come up the ball of your back foot so you can twist into the block. Universal block, back. Universal block, back. Universal block, back. Push both arms out and away from you as much as possible without leaving yourself open. Again, you don't want to narrow your universal block because you can still get the kick or the kick down low. So keep it like a shield and back to the center. Like a shield and back to the center. The last two blocks, the next one is called the leg and arm block. Right leg just lifts up in the position that it's in, touch it off your elbow and bring it straight back down. Touch it off your elbow, bring it straight back down. Again, try not to keep your height, you want to hunch slightly just to make sure that, as I said, you're wound like a spring. You've got potential energy to unleash another strike and you're making your targets a hell of a lot smaller if somebody is throwing punches or kicks. So down and back. Again, this is against a roundhouse kick. So when you're in position, when you lift your right leg up, it should be at a 45-degree angle. So if a roundhouse kick comes from the side, you're cutting it off at a 45-degree angle. If the kick is low to your leg, you should block this. And if the kick is to your waist, it should still be blocked by your knee and your elbow. And if the kick happens to go up high to the head, or if they double up on a roundhouse kick, you should have your head blocked. This block is generally used more so if the kicks are low, down low towards your legs. You can just pick it up towards your leg. And if it's up that little bit higher, the universal block is generally used. Unfortunately, when someone throws a roundhouse kick, it's very hard to decipher whether it's going to be high or low. So you need to be practicing these a lot, so when someone throws a kick, you can just make the choice and hopefully the choice will be right. If it's low, leg and arm block. If it's high, universal block. So with your right leg, pick it up where it is and back down again. You need to make sure your elbow and your knee touch so that there's not a gap. If there's a gap, kick and slide and hit you in the body. So leg and arm block, back down. Leg and arm block, back down. Front leg and arm block, and back down. This is exactly the same thing. This is lifted straight to the front and back down. If it's a roundhouse kick from the side, it's moved slightly to the side. Not too much in that you leave, just slightly to the corner. If it's a roundhouse kick from this side, you've got a choice. You can leg and arm block with your right leg and arm, or you can leg and arm block inside with your left leg and arm. But for the purpose of the set and for the practicality of the grade, the leg and arm block is just straight in front. And the great thing about this leg and arm block is the front is it blocks a front kick and it blocks a side kick, exactly like a shield as well. So straight up to the front and back down. You're not going to be standing in that position for long because, as you might notice, you're off balance. So just be straight up and down, enough to block whatever strike or kick is coming your direction. So from the very top, we're going to go through all of those again. Sides of the head, front of the head, stomach, ribs, haymaker, haymaker, drop it down, universal block, drop it down, universal block, back to the center, leg and arm block, back down, leg and arm block, back down. Then you need to switch stance and repeat in the opposite side. So we're going to do it slowly first. Switch, again, a good fast switch. You don't want to take your time to switch. Sides of the head, same thing as the opposite side, front, stomach, ribs. This time it's your right hand. Now the way you remember which arm goes first is it's always the front arm off your front leg goes first. So haymaker block, drop it down, universal block, drop it down, universal block. Back to the center, leg and arm block, and front, leg and arm block. And again, we need to do the whole lot. Practice will make perfect. The more you do this, and the more repetition you use, when you go for the grade, the more it will be automatic and subconscious. Exactly like tying your shoelaces or brushing your teeth or driving. Most of us don't have to think about these things. And when you're going to defend yourself, whether it's on the street or in the ring, you want to make sure that all of this stuff is subconscious. So, sides of the head, front, stomach, ribs, haymaker, haymaker, universal block, leg and arm block, and leg and arm block. Switch stance, sides of the head, in tight. Front, stomach, ribs. Haymaker block, haymaker, universal, universal, leg and arm block, leg and arm block. The next set we're going to do is called the footwork set. This is the last set and the last requirement of the yellow belt. The footwork set is probably the set that people find least fun to practice, but it's probably the one that's most important because it's your footwork that wins your fights. It's your footwork that gets you away from stronger opponents, and it's your footwork that helps you move in towards opponents and away from opponents quickly. And at the same time, combined with blocks, footwork is handy for evasion and defense, as well as for attacking. But if you can get out of the way, as opposed to having to block, then no contact is made, and that's a hell of a lot easier on your joints, especially when you're sparring in kickboxing. So let's get started into the footwork set, and I'll explain what each one is for and what each one does. So starting again, exactly the same as the other sets, left leg is in front in a left neutral stance. Hands are up. The very first move is called a step through, and it does exactly what it says in the tin. A step through with your back leg straight in front, and you're switched into an opposite stance. Now you're in a right neutral stance because you're facing your right leg. Now with this step through, one of the biggest mistakes everyone does is they just step through. And that's exactly what it's not. What you need to do is keep your guard tight and your body tight so that when you step through, there's no space for your opponent to hit you. Because you could be stepping through with a front kick, you could have a good tight guard, tight front kick and land down, which means there was nowhere for your opponent to hit you when you did that move. Or you could be stepping straight in with a punch. You don't want any movement. If you step in with a kick without keeping tight, then your body is open. Or if you step in with a punch without being tight, then your body is open. So that means that any of the starting at the early stages, when a fighter is most vulnerable, that's when you can be getting hit, and you don't want that to happen. So hands are tight, guard is tight. Very first thing, step straight through and you're in the opposite stance. Again, making sure that your arms pass each other and you keep tight. Your body is tight and your head is protected. That's the most important thing. After the step through to the front is the step through in reverse. Exactly the same, hands are tight, right leg side back, step through in reverse. So step through in reverse. It's pretty easy, and that's the first start of the footwork set. So hands tight, step straight through in front, straight through, and imagine you're stepping in to strike an opponent. Step straight through in reverse, and you're tight. So step through in reverse. The next one we're going to do is a hell of a lot longer range, and this is called a front crossover. This helps you again towards an opponent from a further distance away, but it also keeps your body side on, which is what protects you. When you're side on, you have a lot less targets to hit. When you're front on, you've got all your targets to hit. When you're side on, your shoulders and your arms and your leg can protect a lot of your internal organs or your vital organs. So you're side on, keep your hands tight, front crossover. Right leg crosses over in front of your left leg, and left leg steps in front. What can be done forward can be done in reverse. So front crossover, left in front of the right leg steps back. If you have to adjust your stance a little bit, that's fine, that's no problem to administer this footwork. But try to do it as close to front crossover as you can. So hands are tight, front crossover in front of your foot, step forward. Front crossover in reverse, in front, and step. Now when you're coming forward, you could be coming in with a jab and a roundhouse kick and a jab and a cross. You don't need to worry about this, but it does lead into more combinations and more extensions of technique, which again gets you in faster and hopefully make sure that you're protected and you don't get hit. Hands are tight. If someone's coming at you, you can front cross over in reverse, and you can see it looks like a little bit like you're running or like you're shuffling. So left leg's in front crossover, straight in, front crossover in reverse, away or avoiding an attack. 1, 2. So that's a front crossover. One more time slowly. Front in front of your leg, step out, in front of your leg, step back. That's a front crossover. The next one we're going to do is a rear crossover, exactly the same, related to the front crossover. This time step behind your leg, step in front, step behind your leg, going back, step back. This is used to come in at somebody with a side kick, for example, stepping, side kicking, and then down. And if someone is coming at you with a side kick, one of the best things that you can do is to skip out of the way with a rear crossover, skipping straight back. And you've noticed that I kept sideways and I kept my hands up, so I was ready, even when I skip back, to fire in with a punch or with a kick. So that's a rear crossover forward and rear crossover in reverse. I'll show you once more. Hands are tight, step behind, step in front. Step behind, step front. You'll notice as well that I keep fairly low to the ground. You don't want to be doing large steps because then you're more off balance. And remember, every time you lift your leg, every time you do a step, every time you do your move, you're off balance. So you want to limit that as much as possible. Make sure that you're sturdy. So hands tight, rear crossover, step, step, rear crossover, in reverse, step, step. And again, you go like you're charging forward, because if you're going out to attack somebody, you need to move fast, you need to cover distance fairly quickly. So it's rear crossover, and the same in reverse, rear crossover. The next one, the second last one, is called a step drag. And again, it's in the name, exactly the moves that are required. Step, this time front foot steps first. Step, back foot drags, drag. And again, the same in reverse, except this time it's back leg. So back leg steps, drag. Now when you do a step drag, it doesn't look like this. It looks more like a jump or a spring forward. So front foot step drag, step drag. A lot of people use the step drag when they throw a jab. So when they throw a jab to cover distance, it's step drag. So it's like a little jump. And likewise, if someone's throwing a jab at you, one of the best things you can do is pull back with a step drag. You can come forward with multiple step drags, or you can come back with multiple step drags as well. So hands are tight, front foot step, back foot drag. Front foot step, back foot drag. You can see when I do it slow, I'm off balance. When I step, I'm off balance, and then I drag. That's why when you're doing this set, you don't do it slow. It doesn't. A lot of the techniques you'll notice in kickboxing, when they're broken down to show you, to demonstrate so that you learn, they're a little bit different when you actually speed it up, you round out the technique, and you actually do it properly. It tends to be a little bit different, and it tends to be a lot easier actually. So hands are tight, step drag in reverse. Step drag forward, step drag in reverse. One more time slow, front leg, step drag in reverse. Now the last one we're going to do is called the drag step. So it looks like this, left leg's in front, it's the reverse of that. This time back leg drags to your front leg, so your feet are together, front leg steps. Same in reverse, drag, back leg steps. So drag step, drag, step, drag, step. Drag, step forward, drag, step back. When you did the kick set, you've already done a drag step. You dragged up, you did a kick, instead of stepping forward, you step back to position and drag back. You did the same with the side kick. So you already have a drag step. So you will use a drag step, say for example, like the kick set, drag up, kick, step forward, jab, etc, etc. That's a drag step. And likewise back, it can be like you're skipping away from attack as well. So the stuff in reverse is defensive, it's moving out of the way, and the stuff forward. So again, left leg's in front, drag, right to your left, step forward, drag step reverse, drag, step back. Drag, step forward, drag, step back. And again, it looks like you're shuffling or you're moving across. Drag step, drag step. First one, step through in reverse, front crossover in reverse, rear crossover in reverse. Step drag, drag, step, drag, step. Switch stance, step through in reverse. Front crossover in reverse. Rear crossover in reverse. Step drag, drag, step, drag, step. Now with this set, it's important not to rush it, but it's important not to do it too slow and methodical and mechanical. You need to flow with it. So I'll show you the way that you're required to do it for your grade. That's the footwork set. Punch set 1. In the punch set, what's required when you're going for your grade, there's 4 main things that are looked at when you are doing your grade. 4 things that you have to remember. Number 1 is that you're always breathing out. You have to breathe out. You can't hold your breath on each strike. Every major move, you always need to breathe out, because it's breathing that gives you power for all your strikes. Number 2, you have to make sure that when you're punching, there's always a hand up. So when you're throwing a cross or a jab, one hand isn't down, it's always up. There's always one hand up every time you're throwing a punch in the punch set. So that's the second thing that's required. The third thing that's required is that you have a good tight fist. You can't have fingers or thumbs or anything sticking out. It has to be a good, tight, proper fist, so that if you did have to use a punch, whether you were sparring in the ring or if you were defending yourself, that you wouldn't break a finger, a thumb or a wrist. And the fourth thing that is required is that you need to rotate on the balls of your feet, so that you're getting your body weight into all your strikes. That's very important, so that you're not just trying to use strength or just use your arm or anything like that. You need to punch with your entire body. A famous expression is, don't punch with your hand or your arm, punch with your body. So that's what you need to do. So they're the 4 things that we look for: breathing, a good tight guard, fingers and good tight fists, and footwork, making sure that you're rotating into your punches as much as you can. And that's the punch set. Make sure that you don't do it too fast, but at the same time don't do it too slow, and don't rely too much on strength. So you're looking for a good, quick enough speed with good power, but not relying on one more so than the other. And that's the punch set. Kick set 1. What you need to do is do it at a good moderate pace. Don't go too fast. Each kick should be fast, but the set should be fast. A lot of people can get confused with the footwork, so make sure that you practice your footwork, because footwork during kick set 1 is very important, because that's what sets you up to enable you to do your kicks or enable you to get away and defend yourself from an opponent. So footwork is very important. Try not to end in the wrong stance. Start off in the left neutral fighting stance, finish in the right neutral fighting stance. But each quick should be decisive, it should be quick, and it should have power in it. Basically, what your grading instructors are looking for when they watch you doing your kicks is to make sure that they're functional. They don't have to be the best kicks in the world or the best looking kicks in the world. It's not a beauty pageant, it's functionality is what they're looking for. They want to make sure that if someone stood in front of those kicks and you kicked them with any of those kicks, that it would hurt them. And that's all that they're looking for. They're looking for to make sure that you would have an effect on an opponent should you use any one of those kicks, and not injure yourself, stumble and not fall over. The covering block set. The covering block set, I mean, all you have to do is make sure that you cover. You do exactly what as the name suggests. You just cover your body parts. The good thing about the covering block set is it's generally natural reactions. Even if someone hasn't trained, they generally put their arms in the positions that they are. Other than the universal block and the leg and arm block, they're a little bit more difficult, but they're setting you up for more advanced moves and techniques that you will get to see in later belts. So make sure with the covering block set, do each one like it's a block. Make sure that you breathe out, make sure that you keep your hands up and your elbows in tight. You don't want to give any of your body, you don't want to leave any of your body open. And basically all you need to convince your grading instructors is that if anyone threw any kind of punch or kick at you, that you could successfully block, and you would block and not get blown away by the punch or kick. And that's all you need to demonstrate on the day. Again, it's not a pretty set. It doesn't have to look amazing. It just has to look functional and look practical, and that's all you have to demonstrate. The footwork set. The footwork set is generally the one that people perform at the poorest level going for a yellow belt. So try to break the mold and try to do it properly to the best of your ability, because the footwork set is probably one of the most important sets of the whole lot. Because at the end of the day, if you can get away from an opponent or move into an attack opponent at will and they cannot reach or attack you, then you're going to win. So it's all to do with footwork. It doesn't matter if you've got great punches or great kicks. If you can't hit your opponent, then it's going to be no use to you. Or likewise, if you do the reverse and you make sure your opponent cannot hit you and you've got good distance and you've got better distance than them, it doesn't matter whether you're tall or smaller, it doesn't matter. It's the person who controls their own personal distance and that of their opponent is the ones that wins the fight. So try to think of the footwork set not as a dance routine, more as moves that are applicable for fighting. Think of what you're doing in each move when you're doing the set, so that it does not just look like a bunch of movements that you have to do in order to pass your test. Make it look as if you're advancing in an attack or in a fight situation, or if you're retreating or defending in a fight situation, and then you'll have no problem with the footwork set on the day. Well, that's all the yellow belt requirements for your very first grade in kickboxing. I just wanted to stress that this DVD obviously is not a substitute for training and for classes. It's a great help, and hopefully it will benefit you when you are going for your grade. But obviously, nothing beats hard training. The way you need to train all the requirements for yellow belt and even beyond is it's very important that you practice all the stuff and all the material in the air. And that's how you're going to be asked on the day. That's going to be the first way that you're going to be asked, because when you demonstrate stuff in the air without actually striking anything, that's what shows if you have learned it properly, because that's where mistakes are easy to see. So a good way to practice is in the air. If you have a mirror, practice in front of the mirror. We have plenty of mirrors here, so you just practice in front of it and have a look, because no one's going to be a better critic or a harder critic on yourself than you are. So make sure you practice it in the air. But secondly, make sure you practice everything on focus mitts. Get a partner to hold focus mitts. I'm sure your instructor will do that already. And make sure you practice it on the punch bag, because you could be asked. You more than likely won't be asked for your first grade, but as you go on, you'll be asked to do it on the punch bag for later belts, the higher you go. And then also the higher on, you won't have to worry about this belt, but later on you'll be asked to perform all the functions and all the techniques on an opponent or on a partner. So there's 4 ways to practice: in the air, and on focus mitts, or on a punch bag, or with a partner actually demonstrating all the moves. And the main ones you need to worry about for this belt, for yellow belt for yourselves, are in the air, obviously that's one of the most important, and focus mitts. You might be asked to kick a kick shield, but that should be a hell of a lot easier than practicing in the air. Make sure when you are practicing all of this material as well, you break down each individual move. You don't just practice the set and not practice each one as an individual. Pick up your own combinations, break things down, take things individually and practice them. On the day, there should be a balance between speed, power and technique. Try not to fall more into the one category, because for each one that you overdo, you neglect the other 2. So it's very important to be balanced, to have speed, to have strength and to have technique, all in even numbers. That way, when you are fighting, you don't have a weakness. You're not overly dependent on any one particular factor. You will be nervous, as everyone is going for their first grade, so everyone says don't be nervous, but don't worry about your nerves. You will be nervous, don't worry about your nerves. Just continue on and use your nerves. You have to remember that when you're fighting, every fighter is nervous. Everyone going for a grade is nervous, whether they admit it or not. And the people who do well are the ones that simply accept their nerves and continue on and just do what they have to do. You have to remember that the human body works better when there is nerves. When there is nerves, you release adrenaline. When you release adrenaline, that's when you will function better at your grade. So nerves are your friend, adrenaline is your friend. Relish the nerves, and they say that when you're not nervous, that's the day to give up and to retire. So if you're nervous, don't worry about it. Carry on and just remind yourself that we were all developed to work better under pressure. On the day, what we're looking for, as I've said in this DVD, is functionality. Functionality means that basically with the punch set, you can throw a good punch and hit anybody with any punch off either arm, and you will have the desired effect. The exact same thing with the kicks, that you can kick anybody with any of the kicks and you will hurt them, or you potentially could hurt them. The blocks, what's very important is that if someone punches or kicks you can't block. That's what we're looking for. And with the footwork, that you can enter a fight or evade a fight or do a bit of both. That's what's important. So it's functionality. It's not an academic grade. Memorization, I mean, it is helpful and it will become stricter later on, but it's not a memorization grade. It's not an academic grade. It's a functional grade and it's a practical grade. So you need to make sure that you demonstrate everything, the functionality of everything, that it works basically. We're not looking for action movie star quality. We're looking for stuff that we know if you had to use it to defend yourself, or if you were using it in the sport of kickboxing, that it would work for you. And that's the main thing that we're looking for. And just finally, just to say, do your best. Go at the first grade as if you've already earned it. As they say, if you feel that you haven't, a common expression that they use is fake it till you make it. And basically what that means is if you fake it and you put it on enough, eventually you will become that and you will believe it's true and you will already carry yourself as if you've successfully passed that grade. And that's what attributes to your confidence. And a lot of people talk about confidence in martial arts. Grading is just one of the many ways of developing your confidence and showing that you're rising in the ranks in kickboxing. And there's many other belts to come. The other belts tend to be a lot more exciting, because as you learn stuff, it compounds into more and more advanced maneuvers and advanced techniques. So there's a lot of stuff to really look forward to. The yellow belt is a great belt because it's all your foundations, and as I said, and as I often say to people, many world championships have been won literally just using the moves that are in your yellow belt syllabus. And there is always stories about how people who are going for black belts have been judged, and by the grading committee they simply watched their yellow belt, and their yellow belt was such a high standard they did not need to see any other belts. They graded them immediately to black belt. That more than likely won't happen to yourselves, so just make sure that you practice your yellow belt hard. But the moral of the story is your yellow belt is what will carry you through all your other belts and continue on up the ladder. And if your yellow belt is strong, all the other belts will continue to be strong. And make sure that when you are successful and when you do get your yellow belt, you keep practicing the yellow belt, because as soon as you go for your next subsequent gradings, it will always be asked for. The very first thing that's always asked for is the yellow belt. So do your best, make sure you practice hard for the grade, and I've no doubt that you will definitely get it. Best of luck, and see you.